Started. I call to order the council meeting of April, November. Let's start over. Calling to order the common council meeting for the city of Brookings for Monday, April 3rd. I don't know why I want it to be November. April 13th at 5:30. Let's rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will you please call the roll?
Councilor Mulder.
Here.
Councilor Gelada.
Here.
Councilor Martin.
Here.
Councilor Fulton. Here. Mayor Prada.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, moving on to item D, ceremonies, appointments, and announcements. And we'll begin with item number 1, remembering former councilman Ed Schreiber. For those of you who don't know, Ed Schreiber recently passed, and the staff has prepared a statement that they would like to be read in remembrance of his service. Former City Councilor Ed Schreiber passed at the end of March. The city wishes to honor him and his loved ones with a brief remembrance. Ed went to school at California State University in Fresno for communications and broadcasting. In 1989, he started a business known as Peli Travel, dedicated to international travel, especially for missions. He and his wife, Linda, moved to Brookings in 2004. While in Brookings, he was an avid volunteer with Cherry Holiday Festival, Coastline Neighbors, Salvation Army as a bell ringer, the Shoe Bank, and coached and was involved in youth sports. He was also part of Curry Student Success Fund, which provided education scholarships. Ed ran for and was elected to City Council in January of 2001 and served until December of 2023. Many great things happened during his time on council, including a large Kent Town reconstruction, restarting the facade program, and approving higher wages for Brookings police officers and dispatchers. He was always in support of the Brookings Police Department, their staffing and training, and helped stop downtown motels from becoming low-barrier homeless shelters. Ed is survived by his wife, Linda, his children, Daniel, Peter, Amanda, and Abigail. We thank Ed for his service to our community. I think many people don't realize and know that the council members are volunteers, and so their time is done out of a love and dedication to their community. So we're very grateful for the time that he served.
I will just add in there, it's really nice to see a couple of his family members here, for sure.
We're sorry
Part
for
of our
your
community.
Yeah, and we're sorry for your loss.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have anything to add?
I just want to say something because I enjoyed serving with Ed. In particular, he was always really prepared for the meetings and did a lot of research during the franchise agreement or the contract with Coos Curry. He did an immense amount of research. A lot of the public works projects, he was a good source for the rest of the council for information. So, he was all in on his involvement with the council and doing research on his own and sharing what he found with the rest of the council.
Mayor, council, and city manager, just want to thank you for making this happen today. Ed's a dear friend of mine, and I met him through public service, and he was a beautiful public servant, selfless to a fault, and helped everybody. And his family helped this community. It's a big loss, and so anyways, I just want to thank you for acknowledging him and his service, and thank you.
I want to wanted to thank you guys for having this as an agenda point. I know your time is really valuable. My father loved this town. I moved here when I was 1 year old. I love this town. It's been a beautiful place to grow up. I know you guys are all a part of making this town what it is, improving on it. You got many projects. I know we're doing an expansion on the parks there. I'd love to discuss potentially paying for a memorial at some time, maybe a bench or something like that. A few other friends also involved with Parkinson's and things like that. There's so many elderly people in this town that have difficulty recreating anymore. And I brought to the Parks and Rec Committee a proposal. I was really excited that some people have reached back to me about that proposal of putting in potentially a ping pong table or something like that for those older folks. But it's just been wonderful living here, growing up here, and seeing this town blossom, and appreciate all of your service, as I know my father did. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to thank you guys for this. It really means a lot to me. I know my dad really loved this town. There's a lot of things I know about my dad, but that was one thing I was always sure of, is how much he loved this town before and after serving on the city council. One thing I will always remember is we grew up probably, I don't know, 100 meters from the Bud Cross fields, and we always used to go shoot hoops there, often on his lunch break because he worked out of the house, and we were homeschooled, so a lot of times he'd take us up there and we'd go shoot hoops, and he would always go change the nets there because a lot of times they would get old and stuff, and because all the kids were there, and so he just made it his project to go change the nets, and the kids in the neighborhood just loved that, and I just will always remember that that was something he loved to do, is just do that. It was just a little thing he would do, and I don't know why, that was just a random thing I remembered, and I appreciate you guys recognizing him, and I know he really loved working with you guys and really valued everything everyone did for the city, and appreciate your guys' words. It means a lot to our family. So thank you.
Abby, just in return, I will forever remember the multiple times that he came out to the track meets and watched you pole vault. A very proud papa there, just so you know.
Thank you. That means a lot.
I think it's a sweet testimony to the fact that it takes a village, and many times the work that's done behind the scenes, nobody even notices because it just appears to always be in good condition and be continuing on. So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to another proclamation, and this is to honor another one of our community members from years past. So I will read the City of Brookings proclamation for Elma Williams Day. Whereas Elma Williams was an Academy Award-winning film editor who was involved in many of Hollywood's most notable films, including High Noon, The Longest Day, Cleopatra, Tora, 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 and whereas Elma Williams served as head of production for 20th Century Fox, and whereas Elmo Williams and his wife Lorraine retired and relocated to Brookings, adopting the city as their new hometown, and whereas Elmo Williams became a cultural resource advocate in his new home community, supporting local theater productions, organizing the Azalea Park Foundation, and funding the construction of the Capella by the Sea at Azalea Park, and whereas Elmo Williams funded the Capella by the Sea, creating a lasting memorial to his wife Lorraine and himself, and now serves as a place to create new memories for marriages and memorials. And whereas Elmo Williams, even in his advanced age, was an inspiration for many and a driving force behind community promotion and cultural affairs. And whereas Elmo Williams passed away while residing in the city of Brookings at the age of 102, and whereas the spirit of Elmo Williams is still held in the hearts of many Brookings residents, now therefore be it resolved that I, Phoebe Pareda, Mayor of the City of Brookings, do hereby proclaim April 26, 2026 as the 10th anniversary of Elmo Williams Day. In witness hereof, I, Mayor Phoebe Pareda, do hereto set my hand and cause the official seal of the City of Brookings, Oregon, to be affixed this 13th day of April 2026.
I want to add that Elmo was a neighbor of mine, and I never saw that man without a smile on his face and a twinkle in his eye. And he was always engaging with people. And, you know, there's a lesson for us all that he lived to be 102. We could learn from that man. And the Elmo Williams Day started in 2017. Carolyn Milliman started it. I was there from day one. I'm the keeper of the stuff. I keep all the mementos, and we put it out at the Capella at noon, high noon, right, on Elmo Williams Day. And then we always follow it with a movie. This year is going to be Zorba the Greek with Anthony Quinn. And what's really cool is, I don't know if you're aware of, but the Chetco Playhouse hosted over 20 interviews of Elmo, because he would show his films and then he would talk about the making of those films and about the Hollywood days and all that kind of stuff, all that history. They were interviewed by Alon Goddard. Claire Willard was the photographer, and Mike Moran was the announcer, and the Chetco Playhouse Pelican players would always then do their little skits and things like that and add in all the other scenery and everything else that needed to be done. What happened was I got him together with my son, who happens to be the state archivist of Hawaii, saying, hey, look, Lon, you can't let these interviews go. I mean, this is history. And so I got the two of them together, and Lon was good enough to then donate those to the archives. They are now on the Hawaii State Archives, so you can listen to over 20 interviews of Elmo. And I was looking at some this morning, and it took forever, because I'd get in the middle of one, it's like, oh my gosh, I forgot about that, and I'd have to listen to it all over again. But anyhow, it's at digitalarchives.hawaii.gov. They're all there, and also some personal films and things like that, like his 100th anniversary is in there, so all kinds of good stuff. So I want to thank the city like you cannot believe, in particular Phoebe and Brooklyn, and I know Lori's been in there since day one, and I want to thank the library. They always come to my rescue and say, yeah, you can have our film there on Sunday. We're usually closed on Sunday, but we'll open for you for that. So again, Kat, thank you very much as well. I appreciate that. So another thing I wanted to say, though, is talking to my son about getting this proclamation. He says, you know, we're collecting all these materials. So he was wondering if you could also send the copy of the proclamation to him. And I've got his card here, so you could send it, and he'll again put it up on the archives.
Okay.
Okay? And again, thank you very much. I hope I said thank you to all the people I needed to say thank you, but again, I cannot tell you how much I appreciate the city being involved this year.
Would you like a quick photo with the proclamation?
Sure.
Over here by the
Yeah, too. Come on. Come on. Library lady.
All right.
Oh, she's bailed me out so many times.
We do what we can.
And this is card that's with me.
Okay. Would you like to hold it, or would you like me to?
No, yeah. Okay.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
If you guys don't mind, allow me to make a comment about Elmo. My time here at the city, I've obviously understood the history of Azalea Park, but in particularly Elmo, his influence on that park. When we took that park over from when it was a state park to a city park, he pretty much has his hand in almost everything that's happened there. The Capella, obviously, you guys know about, but the band shell, the sidewalks, the development of the formal gardens, that was him. There's a statue memorializing him there for that. There's so many, I think Kid Town he's probably involved in some way or fashion, but that park, just imagine it without all those amenities and this gentleman coming into our community and just wanting to make an incredible impact. And all of those projects are born from his head, his ideas. So I just wanted to acknowledge that he has a significant hand in how we experience Azalea Park. So.
And I'll just follow up with that, what a legacy that he has left. And we hope we can all just continue to do those kinds of things to help make our community the best it can be. So absolutely, remarkable person.
From what I understood, when it was a state park, the azaleas were overgrown, they hadn't been pruned, and they were dying, and then he personally went in there and started the restoration of those. And
the Azalea Park Foundation is his baby. I mean, he created it, and he was very good at gathering volunteers. I mean, there's probably 100 volunteers that worked under him over the time that Azalea Park was transforming. So yeah, there was so much work being done at relatively little cost to the city. They were mostly volunteers. I know he coordinated projects and he donated his own money. I'm sure the city was involved in paying for some of it, but he was always there, project managing, directing people to do this or that. Designing, he was the park guy. I mean, for particularly Azalea Park.
It's, again, just a beautiful testimony of community and a selfless giving of time and funds, and the Capella now generating revenue for our city, which is needed. And I think it's an absolute gem, some of the most stunning views. So yeah, it's an important reminder, I think, to all of us to remember the ways that we can impact our communities for generations to come.
Also would like to add that, I've been a docent at the Capella since day one. And you meet the nicest people, not only from all over the country, but all over the world. They come to the Capella and comment on how gorgeous this is. And they also comment on how friendly everybody in this town is. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've heard that.
Okay. All right, then we have a scheduled appearance for Val.
She's, if you don't mind, we can switch E and F. She's on her way. She's running a little bit late.
Okay, so then we'll go ahead and make that agenda change, and we'll move on to F, oral requests and communications from the audience. We have one here from Michael Frederick. Invite you to come to the podium.
Okay,
and I'll read the public comment notes here while we're waiting. This is a time for public comment. If you have turned in a public comment form to the recorder, comments are limited to 5 minutes. This is not a time for discussion. Council is not able to provide immediate answers or response. The city manager may direct staff to follow up with you regarding your comments and questions. If provided with contact information on the form, before you make your comment, please state your name and your address for the record.
All right. Michael Frederick, 16883 Yellow Brick Road, outside city limits, but in the urban growth boundary. I was fortunate enough to meet Elmo. He was, in my experience, a great guy, and I've yet to meet a person who doesn't say the same thing. And when it came to his, the first Elmo Williams Day, we were actually approached by, Lon Goddard and a couple other people to do like a memorial beer for him. So I wanted to tie in a Western thing because of the high noon thing. And so anyhow, I turned out he wasn't involved with a movie called El Dorado, which I hoped he was, because there's a hop called El Dorado, but we changed it to Elmo-rado and made an IPA with that, which we still proudly pour. One of our best sellers. So, but yeah, great guy. He was, yeah. The urban renewal stuff, I mean, it's great I just wanted to comment, all the pushing forward to get accessibility to this, make it accessible, get the word out on this. I hope that push keeps going so that people do access it, maybe some way to make the barriers lower or some way to get it started easier, something. Look forward to conversations about that. The housing survey that's coming up, the fact that that's paid for with a grant, so it's not costing the city anything, that's great. I expect that there is, and I really hope there is, already plans in the works with the assumption that they're going to say, yeah, we're coming up way short on housing because that's what the last one said 9 years ago or whatever. And I don't know what's happened with that, except I didn't see a lot happen. I don't see us catching up. I don't know if it's going to involve limiting short-term rentals as part of it or other encouragements to build, but when that comes in, it'd be great if we were already hitting the ground running, knowing that we're short and trying to, again, lower barriers to make that happen. The TLT monies, I'm really appreciative of seeing that still as a significant topic, and the TPAC getting formed again. And it was good being at that budget meeting and seeing the amount of money that is there. And even at the limited 25%, that should be over $100,000 a year at this point. I'm really happy that Mr. Martin, Councilor Martin, pushed for, and I would like to see, I think that'd be great, actually designating a dollar amount that is going to be available to be spent. There's over $100,000 there, which is a lot more than what the old TPAC, than when that was around. So I would expect that their monies would be increased considerably. And I'm going to say again, I think that the caps on that ought to be lifted. It's just not an incentive for anyone to really do something if the cap is too low. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, that was our only public comment. Okay. Then we will now move on to our scheduled public appearances. Val Early from South Coast Community Aquatics.
Thank you. And thank you for your patience for me arriving again. So I'll get used to this time change. I just wanted to kind of give you all an update on what's happening. We are so excited at the pool because South Coast Community Aquatics was able to hire a very professional manager who started on April 1st. And so he comes to us from Crescent City and helped to put together our winter pilot program. And he's got some fabulous ideas. He is very knowledgeable on all the workings of a pool. He already has the pool in great shape. And so we're really excited. Our plan is to open on around the 4th of May. Originally, we were going to open on the 1st, and we have a quadruple training going on for the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. And it's in Coos Bay. So all of our candidates and our staffing would be part of that training. And it just seemed prudent to put it off a few days. So anyway, we will be opening on about the 4th, and then we'll start running our regular programming for the whole summer. And we're planning to stay open through October again, with additional programming in the fall for lessons. We are currently applying for some grants to help supplement some lessons in the fall that would target homeschool children in the area. Since most of our 3rd graders in both the Gold Beach and Brookings area receive instruction through the Rotary program that we do in the early part of the year, it would be nice to include some of our homeschool students. So that's the plan right now. And so we're very hopeful on the grants. I think we'll make it happen one way or another, but it's always nice. And our grant that we utilized to purchase the heater, it was successful. And thanks to the city and Tony's staff, we were able to get it installed, and it is fired up and heating the water. Little chilly to swim today, so, but it's getting there. So our plan was to have it heated up and ready for a training that is happening with our junior lifeguard program starting on Saturday. So Saturday and Sunday, we have a junior lifeguard training program going on, and they will all be doing their pre-certification to be able to go, if they're old enough, to go through our lifeguard training course. So it's a great partnership we have with Curry Aquatic Safety, and they have, they've reached out to us and said we'd like as many of our age-appropriate senior staff, what they would call their staff or their assistants, to be part of the pool staff to be able to help alleviate some of our staffing issues when it gets to certain times of the year. Our application portal for getting lifeguards has been open for a month. We have 12 really good candidates right now, including 8 that are returners, and we have currently 4 that are not in high school. So that's super exciting. We are also in talks with Southwestern Oregon Community College with Jill Taveldi, and working with her to put together a lifeguard training program through the college. And we're hoping to get that up and running probably for fall term. It'll be at the very beginning of the fall term is when that would happen. So would be a workforce development program that we're working with her on. So those are kind of all the big updates right now. We have some painting that is going to be happening on the outside of the building, another grant that we received. And we were hoping to get the inside done this year too, but the timing just didn't work out between getting our manager on board and everything. So we'll push that out till the end of the fall when the pool closes, and do the inside of the locker rooms. And some other great ideas. Bill, our manager, takes a paramedic class on Monday nights and Saturdays. So until he's done with that, we'll have to just get you all out to the pool to meet him. So, are there any questions?
I don't have a question, but Val, I'm super impressed with your continued communications. I know more about the pool than so many of the other things here at this city, just because you come in frequently and you share everything that's going on, and that for me is gold. So thank you very much for always coming in to share.
You're welcome, and it's a great partnership. Tony has been very communicative, and he's always very responsive whenever we have a question. I know Bill's reached out to him a couple of times because he has very specific questions based on his experience, so thank you. You're right, I probably should, huh? I just thought we'd already done that. One little thing that Tony just reminded me about is that we probably should renew our agreement. So, since it expired at the end of last month.
We'll get it on next council meeting.
Yes, so if we could get that on the next council meeting, and I'll try to be on time. It's really hard to be named this and be late.
I just agree with those comments. I think it's so refreshing to see this is a nonprofit community organization who goes out for grants and makes efforts to expand programming and provide quality staff. And I just am so highly impressed by the way the organization is run, and by the way you're constantly working to get outside funding resources and grow the programming. I know from my city day at the school, the kids are huge fans of the pool, and it's a valuable asset to those who live here, and we're just really appreciative for the partnership that we've had and all of the hard work that a volunteer group of nonprofit organization does for our community. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And you know, this past year we were, and I know I told you this before at our other at our presentation, but you know, we were really supported by the community. We had some amazing donations this year, and we are so grateful for those, because it shows how much our community is behind this. Mm-hmm. So not only, and it helps to partner with the grants too. It really is good talking points when we go to apply for some new grants. So
And do we have those listed anywhere on our website or anything, those that give donations or have a grant or offering grants? Do we do that anywhere? I don't know.
There's not that I know.
Okay, thank you. That might be a good idea.
We have I think we still have the portal that you could donate to parks, and I believe the pool is still in the list.
Yeah.
So if somebody could go on our website, you could do a pull down on the website and donate. There's a way to donate to parks and the pool.
Do we, go ahead.
I think there's a drop down, like under I want to, and you can say make a donation. And then if you click in there, there's,
Yeah,
Do
there's
we
all-
have a place where we acknowledge those who gift donations in those kind of ways?
we haven't really had any.
Yeah, we really haven't. I think when we opened the portal up, we were taking donations for certain things, and benches would be an example. If they donated enough money to buy a bench, we'd put a placard on it or something
Okay.
like that. That's all I can think of.
Maybe if there's a way that we can add grants that we've received. I mean, the grants are probably less like personal donations, especially if it's over a certain dollar amount.
Yeah.
Maybe we can have a plaque at the pool that, or something. Just food for thought that, to try to acknowledge those who,
I'll talk with Wendy. Wendy's probably got some good ideas about that. I'm sure there's.
But you're right, some acknowledgement.
something to acknowledge the generosity of those that, contribute.
And we've been putting something together along those lines to be able to display at the pool to help encourage other people to donate also. So that we've had a few of our donors who have asked to remain anonymous, but at the same time, we can still list it as anonymous and show the generous donation. And so that will be up at the pool when we open also, as long as as well as our previous funders, such as, Advanced Health and Humboldt Area Foundation, Wild Rivers Community Foundation, the CASA of Coos Curry counties, and then some of our other grant funders. So we'll have those all listed on there.
Great. Any other questions?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you
Great,
for
thank you
making
very
time
much.
to be here.
We'll be back mid-season and give you another, I'll be here next time though too.
Okay. We will move on to item G, consent calendar. Any questions or comments on the calendar? Do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I'll move to approve the consent calendar. I'll second.
Call the question?
Counselor Martin,
Yes.
Counselor Fulton,
Yes.
Counselor Chalata,
Yes.
Counselor Mulder,
Yes.
Mayor Pareda.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Moving on to item H, staff reports, public hearings, ordinances, resolution, and final orders. We'll start with item 1, Wharf Street Crossing Opposition Letter.
Thank you, Mayor Pareda. Members of the council, I just want to inform you that the Oregon Department of Transportation is planning to install a crosswalk at Wharf Street during an upcoming pedestrian enhancement project slated for construction in the next couple months. At a pre-construction coordination meeting between the City of Brookings and ODOT held on March 24th, staff expressed concern for pedestrian safety at the proposed crossing, citing the following: the curve, visibility affected, a narrowness of the street, as well as vehicles parked on the street in that location, which I suspect that if this is completed, those parking spaces are going to go away. When the sun sets, for a good portion of the year, it is blinding, further affecting the visibility for individuals driving in the northbound lane. There is a controlled mid-block RFB crossing close to the theater or at the theater, as well as at Center Street, controlled signal there. Impact would be, there'd be the ramps that they're proposing to put in on that side would impact the doorways of some of the businesses, which would decrease the walkability of that sidewalk. And then, of course, I mentioned earlier, the parking could potentially be eliminated for those businesses on that section of the street. And during our conversation on the 24th, they acknowledged that they had already approved the removal of one of the crosswalks, which is a little suspicious to me that they don't actually recognize that there's a problem with developing any crosswalk here. Staff is recommending council consider signing a letter of opposition to the development of the pedestrian crossing at Worth Street due to the concerns cited above. If approved, staff will draft a letter, which we've already done, and we'll put it in front of you there, Phoebe, which is basically just highlighting the same concerns. You see attached, which is after my meeting, they developed this letter, which is basically a request to eliminate them. You can see the diagrams that we're talking about. If you look at page 18, there is a diagram that shows 2 yellow crossings. They've already eliminated the one that's close to Center Street, citing that there's already a crosswalk close to Center. Let's see, and then on page 20, it's an excerpt from the plans, and you can see the impact. Now, mind you, if you notice, if you're going north by Dollar General, the way they don't angle ramp towards the street, they go flat and back up. And so that's exactly what's going to happen in these sections where you're going to have a ramp, you go down to a landing and have to come back up onto the sidewalk at these crossings. And of course you can see these are up against the building. There are entryways that are really close to the ramp, even though they're not identified right at the ramp. There's still some walkability issues that'll happen there.
So the sidewalk dips down?
Yeah, the way they do it is that instead of when you're going along, like you see most residential subdivisions here, you go along and then where the driveway approaches, they just tilt it towards the road. Well, they don't do that anymore. They go straight down, flat, and come back up.
And
So
it's
they're
kind
not
of wide.
Yeah, they're
like a
wide,
wide,
yeah.
and it's for like.
So if you look at Dollar General,
Yeah.
all of the sidewalks are, it's kind of the same thing. It just drops down flat, comes back up. And then there's a tactile plate or a base there for the crossing. I mean, you could see, I think you could, if anyone has driven this part of the road, you can recognize kind of the issue here, being on a curve and visibility, seeing somebody standing at the crosswalk there. I know people cross there all the time. It's not the safest thing. They're really running for their life. So, you know, we've had other situations where, you know, ODOT recognize council's concerns. Lucky Lane is one of them. We had significant input on the development of that RFP crossing there. So I think it would go a long way if council was in support of opposing this crosswalk. So with that, if you have any questions.
Yeah, I totally agree with the city's interpretation of this. I think this is not a well thought out plan when they're laying out these traffic junctions. I'm glad to hear that they eliminated the one, but 65 feet from the nearest crosswalk to a new one doesn't allow for any traffic queuing. In addition, I think another thing, this really conflicts with some of our findings from the Kittleson study, which we were hoping to implement in sometime in the near future, which, you know, would adjust, you know, how traffic flows through the downtown area, where the left turns are going to occur, so that we could further route some of the traffic to ease congestion onto Railroad. In doing that, we would have to eliminate some parking. So this having to eliminate some parking in conjunction with the potential eliminating some parking with the Kittleson study findings, I think would compound the issue and have negative impacts on the businesses downtown as well. So I fully support rejecting this proposal to put the crosswalk there from my perspective.
And I agree with that, as Councilor Malmberg has said. I brought up last meeting, I think it was, I do believe that we need to have some really clear signage for our public parking, because that is one of the, you know, little areas that people would want to cross back on to get back to the public parking. So just keeping that in mind, that maybe the street to the south of it, as well as at that RRFB blinky light, to have something that states clearly where that public parking would be, so people aren't just, I see people already just going out to Pacific Sushi straight across the highway, just because, they can't get down to the blinky light, so I would hate for that, mostly on that corner, to be the case. But yes, I'm definitely in support of this as well.
Do we have the proposed letter? Did you say it was in here?
I believe there's, Mayor has a sample letter that we put together.
Here,
Yeah. And we could certainly share it with everybody. It really is, it summarizes the staff report. It's really the same.
Did you want to see that?
Yeah, if you have it, yeah. Thank you.
I'm especially grateful for Councilor Malmberg's comments, given his profession, but looking at this, I think it's definitely obvious and clear that it doesn't make a lot of sense. I think that's a corridor, you said if you drive through there, you pretty much can't live in Brookings and not drive through there, or visit Brookings and not drive through there. So it's, to me, it's very clear that we need to support staff's recommendation and provide a letter of opposition to their plan. I think that's such a tricky area for pedestrians already, because there's a lot of lane of traffic, lots of lanes of traffic, and if one car is stopped, sometimes the car on the inside lane doesn't see people crossing, and so I don't think anything that's going to make that additional hazards is unwise, in my opinion. Anybody else have comments or questions? No? Then do I have a motion?
I fully support it, yeah. I move to the council, what's the motion?
Go to 15. Page 15.
Yeah, I motion to authorize the mayor to sign a letter to the Oregon Department of Transportation in opposition to the plan to develop a crosswalk for pedestrians to cross Checkville Avenue at Wolf Street.
I second.
Call the question?
Councilor Fulton.
Yes.
Councilor Gelada.
Yes.
Councilor Malmberg.
Yes.
Councilor Martin.
Yes.
Mayor Freda.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you.
Then we will move on to number 2, Resolution 26R1288, adopting plan of action for fiscal year 2024-25 audit finding.
Mayor, Council, this resolution has to do with an audit finding that was in the 24-25 audit. At the time that I brought the audit to City Council, the day before, I was made aware of this, and it took a lot of back and forth to understand what it was that we needed to do, because I've never had an audit finding. So this has to do with, and I don't know if you've looked, but the plan of action explains it pretty thoroughly. So they felt that the $50,000 management fee that the Urban Renewal Agency pays to the city had no methodology behind it. Also, they recommend that we have a, sorry, I just lost it, an agreement. IJ, sorry, between the city and Urban Renewal, stating how that's done. And, it's kind of weird. You have to look at it like related parties, right? So auditors look at related parties, and because you guys are City Council and you are the Board of Urban Renewal, you're kind of decide to pay yourself whatever you want. And so when we had no methodology, and I went back, it took quite a bit of research to go back and try and figure out how they came up with the 50,000 in 2002, and how, has this ever come up before? And I couldn't find anything. And I reached out to other cities. Turns out we're kind of groundbreaking in this, because I couldn't find any other cities that have had this happen to them and their auditors, but by state law, I have to file a plan of action with the Secretary of State, and also you guys need to pass the resolution. So, and then also next is the intergovernmental agreement between the city and Urban Renewal. So if you have any questions,
I found it interesting that, the Urban Renewal agency has been in play for 24 years, and this is the first time it's come up. And you and I chatted about it ahead of time, and the fact that other cities haven't had that. I do see good sense behind it and reasoning. Like, I thought of the analogy of Superman, like which uniform do we have on today? Are we Clark Kent or are we Superman, and what's our role? And so defining that clearly for taxpayers, I think especially for me with Urban Renewal, we basically, the way that works is the gain from the onset of that agency, any of the increases are redirected from other taxing entities. So I think we owe a great deal of transparency to them, and so I can see the wisdom behind it, but it is interesting that it's taken, like, we're about to be towards the end of that time, and now we're identifying it, so.
well, I think in the past, I think what really made it stand out is because we only spent the $250,000 in urban renewal, and you're like, well, what's this $50,000? Like, it took that much money to only do 250 in projects, but it really does, and it's been really interesting since I talked to the management team about this and what I was trying to figure out and the best way to do it, and then we did do a study, and when I asked everyone to put down their time that they spent for the last fiscal year, we came out to more than 50,000, and that's without managing any large projects. You would not believe how often we talk about it, and so since then I kind of say, oh, okay, everybody put down 20 minutes because we just talked about urban renewal for 20 minutes, and it really adds up pretty fast.
Yeah.
So, and I wanted to feel good about that methodology before I came to you and tried to explain it. I wanted to make sure that our number was correct, or I had to say, sorry, you probably shouldn't, but our number really is correct. So someone back in 2002 must have thought of that same thing. I'm not sure.
Just nothing was formalized.
Right.
And so I appreciate all the legwork that you did to figure that out.
Well, this year we could probably make it 100,000 with all the time I've spent.
So does the number stay at 50 after filling out the applications?
Yeah.
Okay.
In a normal year. Now, if we do have some giant project, that because a lot of Tim's time talking about developing a property or talking to these, people he's been meeting with, we could raise it. We could say, you know what, last year we spent way more than that, so.
And do you have to do the cost allocation annually? Do you have to?
I think it's probably a good idea, the backup to the auditors. I don't want this to happen ever again. So I think in the IGA, we do say that we'll review it annually. So, and we did Wendy was able to put together like a survey, send everybody these questions, they answer their questions, and it calculates the sheet for me to go put their weighted, salaries on. And so it was fairly simple once we figured out how to go about it. So.
And the auditor accepted that. They didn't push for time cards.
No.
A lot of organizations do that, and I just wondered if that was a direction at some point.
Right, no. Not at this point, but yeah, I sent them everything that I had put together, and they told me it was exactly what I needed to do, so I took that as we're good.
Yeah, I think if we were earlier on in this and had more time, then, maybe some kind of I worked at attorney's office, and they would have a sheet in front of them where they would know 30 minutes for this task, and something that tracked it like that. If we were going to be ongoing in lots of projects, might make sense, but I think, kind of looking at the agendas and the way staff meetings are laid out, facade program meetings, those kind of things.
I think normally, in a normal time, we, like Brooklyn, the agendas she puts together, it's pretty easy to say, I spend about an hour every time we have one, and we had this many. Or, workshops where we might, like today, when we might talk about it, me and Tim and Tony can say, okay, we had like 5 workshops. They went about a half an hour, so.
You can get averages.
Yeah, it's pretty normal to, now if it ramps up, then yeah, we might think about doing something a little bit more. But.
And as you had mentioned before, this is the first time you have had anything like this come up on your reports. And I just want you to know I have full faith that you do great on this. And it has to be really hard to receive feedback like that. Like, what? And so
you can ask anybody.
So I just wanted to reiterate.
I've been having a fit about it for a while now. So.
But thank you for getting the plan, doing the plan, and making it all happen.
Yeah.
So thank you.
I agree.
So I know the purpose of this is just to have more transparency on this funding, and the public see that there's nothing unusual going on with these transfers. But are there any other departments or transfers that we could face a similar issue, like money that comes in for the 911 fund, or the money that comes to the city for the fire department, that we have administrative costs spread out, the motel tax money, where the administration of that is spread out to other departments? Is this the start of something where we're going to start seeing a lot more often?
I think everything else that I can think of that you just mentioned, I do have a substantiation for it. Like, I want to say a methodology, but I have a calculation for the amount of transfer into the technology fund from each of the other funds. I have a spreadsheet where I calculate that based on personnel costs and materials and services costs. And so, I can't think of any, but that's a good point, that if at any point in time I say, oh, wow, how did I come up with that number? I just made it up, It's something to think about.
So this one stood out as having no basis, no.
Yeah, because it was 2 related parties.
Yeah.
So everything else, the city is the city, and you guys make all the decisions going between funds. You're not paying another related party for something.
I think that's what makes this
Yeah.
very different, is it can be a little bit hard when it's the same people acting as 2 different entities, because in one case we're the city, and in one case we're the urban renewal agency, where we're representing kind of pooled funds from taxing agencies across our area. And so so this is a very different thing than keeping track of funding from revenue streams within the city resources. Any more questions or comments? Do I have a motion in regards to the resolution?
I move to adopt Resolution 26-R-1288, adopting the plan of action for the fiscal year 2024-2025 audit finding.
Second?
Call the question?
Counselor Salata?
Yes.
Counselor Mulder?
Yes.
Counselor Martin?
Yes.
Counselor Fulton?
Yes.
Mayor Freda?
Yes.
The motion carries.
So we'll move on to the second section of this, and that's the intergovernmental agreement.
Yeah, so this is just putting together an intergovernmental agreement as the auditor suggested. It outlines, anything else an intergovernmental agreement does. It also establishes a clear documented method for compensation through the annual fee of $50,000, and includes a requirement for an annual review of costs and workload to ensure the fee maintains aligned with actual service levels. And like I say here, a survey was conducted this fiscal year, and the results fully support the $50,000 fee. So it's just putting that agreement together.
Is the 3 years what we have left?
29.
Do we know? When
28.
off the top of my, it's either 28 or 29, I believe.
Okay.
29.
So that 29 would be the 3 years, so just was curious about.
Yeah, yeah. Good question, though.
Anyone have questions or comments on the agreement?
No, I'll go ahead and make a motion to authorize the city manager to execute an intergovernmental agreement with the Brookings Urban Renewal Agency for administrative, financial, and project support services.
I second the motion.
Call the question?
Counselor Malmberg.
Yes.
Counselor Martin.
Yes.
Counselor Fulton.
Yes.
Counselor Jalata.
Yes.
Mayor Pareda.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Letter I, informational non-action items. Were there any comments or questions? If not, then we'll go ahead and move to J, remarks from mayor, councilors, and city manager.
I have a few I'd like to add. As Mr. Fredericks indicated earlier, with the reboot of TPAC, we're now accepting applications. We just launched the press release today, and it's on our website, and I believe we're putting it on our social media as well for the 5 positions on the Tourism Promotion Advisory Committee after we adopted the ordinance a couple months ago, and just would ask anybody who has a drive for tourism and bringing folks, more tourists and visitors to our community, to possibly take a look at the criteria. And if you're interested, we'd love to have applications come in as soon as possible so we can get the TPAC formed as soon as possible. Also, I'd like to just quickly say a few things. We have a housing needs assessment. The project team, which consists of pretty much just the staff and the folks from Green Top, are going to be meeting this week and going over some things and kind of putting together a stakeholder list. I know Tony's already done a great job of kind of doing that and putting some stakeholders that will be involved in this process. And when I say stakeholders, we're talking about people that housing developers, builders, realtors, property management companies, rental management companies, mortgage banks, those type of things. We're really wanting to get their input on this housing needs assessment as well. So, and once we get all that substantiated, then we'll be going forward with a stakeholder meeting, and you guys will all be involved in that as well. And then I'd like to add a few, I would say, personal things real quick here. Gabby Dominguez, just quick. I know some of you were at the fundraiser on April the 3rd, and I think it was a huge hit. I didn't find out how much exactly was raised yet, but have you guys heard a figure yet?
I don't know that they're releasing that information.
Yeah, but they had a great turnout, good food, auctioned. It was really fun, and lots of door prizes, and she's definitely on her way to a recovery, and we look forward to her return. On another note, Dennis Tippett from our Parks Maintenance Department, he also worked in our building department, is retiring after 14 years of service. I think we're going to have a little, it was at the end of this month, I believe we're going to have a little luncheon for him to thank him for his years of service. And I'd ask everybody to please keep Michelle Robidoux in your thoughts and prayers. As many of you know, she lost her son this last week, and the family is holding a memorial for him at the end of this week. So just keep Michelle in your thoughts and prayers, and just really lift her up, because she's having a rough time, and I can't even imagine what she's going through right now. So pretty tough time, but that's what I'd like to just add, those little 3 personal touches.
I really appreciate how the city looks out for their own. Just hearing those things that you said, and I know I'm familiar with the issues. And unfortunately, I was out of town. I wasn't able to go to Gabby's thing, but it's just how the city really pulls together and looks out for their own, and the family type environment that you guys operate under. I really appreciate that. about you guys.
And we talk about that often, Councilor Malmberg, we spend probably in a week's time more time together than we do with our own families because of the way the structure of everything's set up. So we're a really close-knit group, and like I said, I think the world of Michelle and Gabby and Dennis and everybody. It's like I said, it's like I said, a testament. I came in here almost 2 years ago, and I could feel that close-knit group, and it's evident in all the things that we've seen especially the past couple of months.
No, it was wonderful to see the turnout last week.
It was.
I hope they did very well, because it sure looked like the money was flowing.
It did.
Councilor Martin, comments?
I just, last week, I was in Portland for a week-long meeting of the Pacific Fishery Management Council. I've been going to these meetings for 3 years. But the good news out of this meeting, Brookings and the Oregon coast have the longest ocean salmon season since the 1980s. So we have a 170-day ocean salmon season approved from the California border to Cape Falcon. In our area, the normal ocean salmon season was 20 to 30 days to a good year, 50, 60 days. And also there's a substantial commercial season. It starts tomorrow. I saw today boats from out of the area, big commercial boats coming to Brookings to get ready to participate in that fishery. The season opened March 15th and goes through the end of August. At this meeting, there was a meeting in early March that had preliminary dates and allowed for an early opening, but now the official dates were set. But during the first month of the season, Brookings, there are more salmon in the ocean caught out of Brookings than the rest of the Oregon coast combined. If you notice the last few weekends, motels in town, Brookings and Resort, there's several vehicles with boat trailers behind them. The port's just been packed, but it's definitely a big deal for the economy of Brookings. This is a slow time of year for ocean salmon, and the catch rates are already similar to the peak season in June and July. So it's it's good for our economy and people who live here that want to participate in it. Also at the meeting, I got a chance to participate in a roundtable with the assistant administrator of NOAA and the director of the National Marine Fisheries Service and NOAA Fisheries, Eugene, I don't know how to pronounce the name, from Puerto Rico, Eugenio Perina Solar. But I had a good one-on-one talk with him afterward about the importance of fisheries to small coastal communities. And we are seeing some changes in the way that fisheries are managed, and the federal agency being more responsive to comments and concerns of stakeholders and people in the community instead of just government officials, employees of the federal government making the decision. The stakeholders have a lot more say in it, and that's an example of what we just saw during the salmon season. So it was good for the entire West Coast, but particularly good for the Southern Oregon coast.
I do know that the District 17C is putting a school bond in for the next election for really debilitating areas of the school. It's hard because many of our citizens are on fixed incomes, and it's really hard to do that, to give that to something that they've already supported in the past. But I definitely know that being in the buildings, there could be some improvements there, and some that would be probably good for everyone, since a lot of people go in their community events and things like that. So just to put that out there, I know it's not ever fun to have to find those funds to do that or to give up something else for that, but I do know that those buildings are, we're talking back to 1950s that those schools were built, so just something to think about.
It's been an evening of a lot of community focus tonight. I wanted to also just comment on the fundraiser for supporting Officer Dominguez, and I particularly wanted to thank our community members and our businesses. They had a lot of raffles donated by local businesses, and that's where the bulk of the funds came from that were to support them. So without our generous business community, those funds would not have been raised in support. The meal was a very small piece of it, and so really the raffle tickets and silent auctions and things were huge. And so to our business community, thank you for that, and for all the community members who showed up and put in their own personal funds for that. Yeah, just echoing also about Michelle and her family. I can't even imagine. That's really hard. I also wanted to, again, just thank council support for Senate Bill 1585 that was passed, and that lowering the grant match for our smaller community is going to have a huge financial impact for us locally. And then lastly, I wanted to say thank you to our volunteer firefighters. I had the pleasure of attending the volunteer thank you banquet on Saturday, and at that banquet, they noted that 5,660 hours were donated by volunteers for the community service of fighting fires and related type calls. And so when I did, this is a very rough estimate, but a rough estimate of the value that brought to our community in 1 year is around $250,000 to $300,000 if we were having to pay those salaries. So I think a huge thank you is owed to those men and women who give up sacrificially of their time with their families to care for our community in that way. So I just wanted to say that here and thank Jeff Lee and Neil, his other staff member, for the work that they do to make that happen. And yeah, it was really great to see the way they give to the community.
Can I just jump in real quick too?
Sure.
Ending upon that, our junior firefighter, Carly Scheffel, she's a current senior, and she received an award for all the time, and she puts a lot of time. In fact, she was up at a track meet that same day and just drove home really fast so she could get that award, and it meant a lot to her and her family and the time that they put in. So she's done a wonderful job. Just put that on there.
Yeah, it's great to see young ones volunteering that way too. So if there's nothing else, then we will call closing at 6:36.